Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 304. Without any delay, start explanation. Dang! Darkness Bell materialized out of thin air and let out a ring. The four-colored light orb abruptly stopped and exploded unstably. The terrifying energy storm wreaked havoc. A dark green light screen spread out before Nali and completely blocked the energy shockwave which came at her and Tang Wulin. However, this was only Qiangu Zhangting's opening move. She fired the four light orbs in the next instant as she waved her right hand across the air. The soul rings on her body flickered and a slender elemental staff appeared within her grasp. She drew a circle in the air with her staff and it turned into a silver light ring. Nali was stunned. The same silver light ring appeared beneath her feet in the next instant. With a flash of silver, she had appeared before Qiangu Zhangting. She did not even have the time to struggle. Spatial transportation. She had been transported by her enemy. Frightful billows and fearful waves raged in Nali's heart. Such a powerful elemental control ability. With her current cultivation base, even if she was caught off guard, it should not have been this easy for her to be transported to her opponent. Qiangu Zhangting's movements were like flowing water. When she drew the silver light ring, she seemed to have foreseen that Nali could not possibly escape from her move. She smacked the light ring with her left hand and when Nali was transported before her, her golden palm had already reached Nali. Light element so dense that it seemed to have solidified instantly burst open. Nali could only hastily manage to raise her arms to defend herself. The instant she was transported to Qiangu Zhangting, the white-clothed young man beside Qiangu Zhangting finally reacted. 7 black and 2 red soul rings instantly rose from under his feet. The third black soul ring burst forth with radiance and a strange-looking weapon instantly appeared in his right hand as he swiped horizontally with it. It was a square sky G and was about 12 feet in length. Its central structure resembled a spear with 2 crescent moon blades on each side of the tip. With the infusion of his soul power, the square sky G had already turned incandescent white in color. It seemed to have a powerful sucking force of its own as he brandished it. The moon blades closed in on Nali's neck. All this had happened too fast. Tang Wulin and Nali were shocked as they were both caught unaware. Who would have expected Qiangu Zhangting, who seemed to be peaceful a moment ago, to suddenly attack with such force? The white-clothed young man beside her seemed to be in sync with her. He had also displayed his powerful strength. He was a titled Dolor with a perfect combination of soul rings. Compared to Nali, he was only 100,000 years soul ring less. When faced with the pincer attack of 2 experts, Nali too displayed her elegant demeanor as a heavenly king of darkness. She snorted and sound waves filled the minds of her opponents. The white-clothed young man's attack clearly paused for a moment as her palm collided with Qiangu Zhangting's. Bam! Qiangu Zhangting's body swayed amidst the muffled sound. Countless dark greenish auras accompanied by shrill wails surged toward her like a swarm of bees. On the other hand, Nali was covered in a layer of golden radiance. On the surface, it was obvious that Nali had gained the upper hand. However, she was the only one who knew about the pain she was experiencing. The dense light element contained within Gu Yuana's hand had directly infused Na Nali's body through her palm as it collided and fought with the dark energy within her. Just when Na Nali gritted her teeth to bear with the pain and wanted to take down her opponent, Gu Yuana stabbed her elemental staff into the ground. The deep sound of an explosion sounded and a layer of silver light suddenly erupted outward with her body as the center. The impact made Na Nali stagger and the crescent moon blade finally reached her. Domineering and powerful. This was the feeling that the square sky G gave Na Nali. Although she knew that she had a superior cultivation base, the attacking power unleashed by her opponent's top-grade tool martial soul was too powerful. She would not gain anything by stubbornly fighting against it. Na Nali could only helplessly curl up and retreat backward like a phantom as she rode on the momentum of Gu Yuana's spatial element's impact. How could this couple be so powerful? The man must have had a strength that was already close to a hyperdolor's level. However, Na Nali had more attention on Gu Yuana. She was still unable to make out Gu Yuana's cultivation base. From the soul rings around her, Gu Yuana only had 7 black and 1 red, making a total of 8 rings. However, she was close to being a limit dolor, so Na Nali's senses were very sharp. She clearly felt that the greater threat to herself was this pitilessly beautiful lady and not the square sky G. Run! Tang Wulin heard a weak voice in his head. Gu Yuana already had her elemental staff raised high above her head at this moment. Water, fire, earth, wind, light, and space. The 6 great elements instantly appeared as if they had substance. They turned into 6 colored halos which furiously swirled around the gorgeous gemstone on the tip of her staff. They instantly formed a giant vortex. An extremely powerful suction force took effect on Na Nali as it started pulling her in it. The square sky G was already shining brightly with a blinding radiance as countless silhouettes of the white-clothed young man instantly spread out and attacked her. It seemed as if there were thousands of him at this instant and each split body seemed to be real. Such a scene could only be described as awe-inspiring. Even Tang Wulin could not help but be stunned by it. Without the slightest hesitation, he tapped the ground with the tips of his toes and a pair of golden wings instantly spread out behind him. He beat his wings strongly and had already covered a distance of more than 100 meters as if he had teleported. He quickly flew toward the station's exit. It was not that he did not want to cooperate with Gu Yuana. It was not impossible for them to subdue Na Nali with the help of the white-clothed young man. However, he had complete trust in Gu Yuana. If she had wanted him to leave, she must have had a very good reason for doing so. After all, it seemed like Gu Yuana, who was much more powerful than before, and the white-clothed young man formed a combination that Na Nali could not possibly best. Na Nali had sensed Tang Wulin's escape at the very first moment. She was immediately infuriated. She released a shrill howl from her mouth and the darkness bell instantly enlarged. Her pupils also turned dark green at this moment. Dang! 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 The bell rang. 2/3 of the white-clothed young man's countless silhouettes shattered. The halo above Gu Yuana's head crumbled as well. Darkness Bell chased after Tang Wulin with swift movements. She did not bother to entangle herself with the duo. Capturing Tang Wulin was her top priority right now. However, there was no way that Gu Yuana would give her such an opportunity. Na Nali swung her arm and the Darkness Bell guarded her rear. There was still some difference between their cultivation bases in her eyes. The two of them would surely be unable to stop her if she wanted to get away. However, there was an error in her judgment this time. An extremely cold aura unfolded around them which made her feel as if her mind had frozen over. She immediately fell down to the ground as the huge square sky G swept toward her and mercilessly slashed towards her body. At this crucial moment, Na Nali suddenly merged as one with her Darkness Bell. The square sky G struck directly onto the darkness bell. Dang! The white-clothed young man felt as if he was hit by lightning amidst the roar of the impact. Blood poured out from his mouth and nose. This was the terrifying aspect of this soundwave-type martial soul. Even if it was hit, it could generate sound waves in retaliation. However, Nali was not in a comfortable condition either. Her darkness bell had yet to fully recover from the blow dealt by the Dragon Clan's power saber. There was no way she would find it pleasant to be hit by this square sky G. Great cracks immediately appeared on the surface of the darkness bell. Nali was currently filled with rage. She let Tang Wulin go as her 8th soul ring shone brightly. A terrifying bell ring resounded instantly throughout the station. Even the skies above the station turned dark green in this instant. A giant bell with a diameter of more than 50 meters swayed in midair. If it was allowed to ring, all living beings in the train station would be reduced to ashes in the next instant. However, a stern voice came from the skies at this very moment. "You dare!" The skies immediately turned incandescent white and a bright beam of light shot down from the heavens. The brilliant radiance directly passed through the giant bell. Nali wailed as her martial soul shattered. She gritted her teeth and coughed up mouthfuls of black blood. She melted into the puddle of black blood and the puddle dashed away with speed akin to meteors chasing after the moon. Darkness secret technique, blood escape. The white-clothed young man wanted to give chase, but the stern voice in the sky sounded again. "Let her go." A light flashed as a figure dropped down from the skies. The figure stood before the white-clothed young man and Qiangu Zhangting. "Do not pursue a desperate foe. I never expected the people from the Holy Spirit cult to ever dare set foot on Heaven-Do City again." The man capable of blasting the darkness bell apart was indeed the current pagoda master of the Spirit Pagoda, Qiangu Zhangting. If Tang Wulin had been there, he would certainly have understood why Qiangu Zhangting made him leave so soon. "Grandfather, why did you let her go? She was already severely injured." "I can certainly take her out if I were to go after her," said the white-attired youth a little eagerly. Qiangu Zhangting frowned. "Zhangting, you're a man over 30 years old. Why are you still so short-tempered? Is the Holy Spirit cult that easy to handle? How can you confirm that there are no other Holy Spirit cult powerhouses nearby? The Holy Spirit cult's grotesque abilities emerge from an endless stream. You might sink into one if you're not careful. A gentleman never stands under a dangerous wall. Who are you? Could it be that the only thing you're capable of is fighting against these filthy people hiding in the shadows?" Slightly embarrassed, Qiangu Zhangting lowered his head upon listening to Qiangu Dongfeng's words. "Grandfather is right to teach me this lesson." Fortunately, Nana recognized those two people from the Holy Spirit cult. Otherwise, we'd still be in the dark. Qiangu Dongfeng glanced at Qiangu Zhangting. He sounded much gentler with her. "Are you injured, Enea?" Qiangu Zhangting shook her head. "Her sound wave attack is very powerful and very ghastly. Fortunately, Zhangting was here. I can't fight against her alone." Qiangu Zhangting's spirit was lifted upon hearing praise from his lover. He could not prevent himself from speaking only because she runs fast, humph. Qiangu Dongfeng said, "There must be a reason why the Holy Spirit cult's best suddenly appeared in Heaven-Do City. I think that it's best for all of you not to head to Sky Sea City yet. After revealing yourselves to the Holy Spirit cult's assassins in such a manner, I'm afraid that they'll try to harm you. Why don't you head back to headquarters first?" Qiangu Zhangting turned his head to the side and looked at Qiangu Zhangting. He saw that Qiangu Zhangting nodded before he smiled and consented. He wished that he could skip Sky Sea City so badly. The Spirit Pagoda's headquarters was supposed to be his territory and he would have more opportunities by spending time with Qiangu Zhangting every day. From the first time he met Qiangu Zhangting, he, who spent all his days cultivating since young, had fallen in love with this gorgeous yet somewhat cold maiden. Qiangu Zhangting was not only beautiful, but her natural talents were extraordinary. Even picky Qiangu Dongfeng favored her, and she was also the deputy pagoda master, the heavenly phoenix Dolor and Yezhu's disciple. She was extremely compatible with him, whether it was her abilities, identity, or appearance. She was truly the best companion he could have in life. Qiangu Zhangting seemed to be inadvertently taking a glance in the direction that Tang Wulin had departed before she followed Qiangu Dongfeng and Qiangu Zhangting as they left the train station. Tang Wulin was so swift, it had only taken a few flaps of his wings before he had already exited the train station. Ever since the terrorist attack in Heavendo City, security was strictly enforced. He dared not slow down even after leaving the train station. The Darkness Bell had her otherworldly means of coming after him, so he would never give the opponent a chance to do so. Even so, Heavendo City was indeed the Tang sect's territory. Tang Wulin utterly had no need to see with his eyes. It had only taken him just over 10 seconds to find one of the Tang sect's secret doors. He quickly entered the elevator and descended underground. He did not believe that the Darkness Bell was still capable of following his trail when he was deep underground. Moreover, there were elite guards defending Tang sect's underground lair. In fact, if the Darkness Bell entered this place, things would probably work out in their favor. As Tang Wulin descended in the elevator, he was not thinking about the danger he had faced earlier but about the scene where he saw Qiangu Zhangting. She was still as beautiful as ever. When he saw the strange expression on Qiangu Zhangting's face, he could already sense what she was about to do. It felt like their hearts were connected. There was utterly no need for them to converse in words. It was sufficient for them to feel everything that they wished to do. Qiangu Zhangting's smartest move was that she did not attack the Darkness Bell directly but struck Tang Wulin instead so that Nali became confused. Had Qiangu Zhangting attacked her immediately, Nali very possibly might have first tried to restrain Tang Wulin. Instead, Qiangu Zhangting's choice of attacking resulted in at least one additional thought process in Nali's mind. Additionally, the succession of attacks was actually meant to entangle the Darkness Bell, so she could create an opportunity for Tang Wulin to flee. There was no doubt that white-attired youth was supposed to be one of the spirit pagoda's most powerful. Qiangu Zhangting could not reveal her relationship with Tang Wulin to him yet. Under so many constantly changing circumstances, Qiangu Zhangting had already achieved meticulous control over the entire situation. She had managed to avoid being suspected by the white-attired youth while also helping Tang Wulin get out from that difficult situation. Despite this, Tang Wulin's heart felt uneasy seeing her with the white-attired youth, and that young man appeared to be quite obviously pursuing her. Just as the Darkness Bell had mentioned, he was confronting his rival in love. Love rival. Tang Wulin could not help feeling jealous and bitter upon thinking about these two words. Qiangu, why aren't you explaining things to me? What actually happened to you and Naya? Ding! The elevator arrived. Soon after the door opened, Tang Wulin felt relieved because he knew that he was already safe. It was fortunate that he changed upon Qiangu Zhangting. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for him to break free from the fight at the time. He raised his hand subconsciously and touched the silver dragon scale pendant hanging around his neck. Tang Wulin suddenly thought of how strange it was for her to go Sky Sea City on this day. Could it be that she sensed his presence there? Otherwise, this felt a little too coincidental, right? Also, could it be that it was a coincidence for him to meet her at the train station? Tang Wulin grabbed the pendant. It had warmed from his body heat. The temperature radiated into his palm as he felt a peculiar sensation. All of a sudden, something dawned on him. Every time he was in danger, she would always appear before him. Why was that? Was that just a coincidence? It was apparent that this was not the case. She managed to come to his aid at just the right time all the time, so she must have been able to sense when he was in danger, right? He remembered. Back when Shrek Academy was bombarded by Godkiller rank fixed soul ammunition, Qiangu Zhangting came at just the right moment to shield him from the rank 9 fixed soul ammunition. Without her, he would have probably died. On the other hand, when he was up against the Abyssal Sage King's final blow in the Abyssal Passage, it was she that transmitted herself to him in a split second and performed the Dragon God transformation to defeat the Sage King. The latest encounter felt like the least dangerous scenario when compared to the previous ones. In the first incident, she even ended up with amnesia after enduring the blast. She had then faced danger beyond imagination in that second situation. Then, there was this day's occurrence to add to the list. Tang Wulin suddenly raised his hand and gave himself a ferocious slap, making a crisp clap upon impact. She had done so many things for him and she had been willing to risk her life to protect him all along. How dare he come up with an excuse to doubt her? How dare he overthink the situation? Why should I care about the so-called love rival? Her heart belongs to me. Whether she acknowledges that or not, whether she and I end up together or not, her actions are proof. On the other hand, I'm still making blind conjectures here foolishly. I'm simply too dumb to be cured. His Golden Dragon King's body gave him a strong physique, but slapping himself earlier was still rather painful. Tang Wulin could not keep from laughing. Why did I have to slap so hard? That's my face after all. But I guess I really deserved it. It was as if his mood was suddenly illuminated by the bright sun and he felt more at ease. Wulin, why have you returned? What are you doing here? It was an icy cold voice, sounding a little out of sorts. Tang Wulin raised his head. Was that not Wu Zhongkong standing before him? Wu Zhongkong was attired in his usual white garments as always. Tang Wulin immediately called out in surprise, "Teacher Wu, you're back." Wu Zhongkong nodded before he asked in a strange manner, "Aren't you supposed to be in Sky Sea City?" Tang Wulin replied, "I've come back to attend to something." Are Wu Sidua and the rest of the students doing all right on the Demon Island? Wu Zhongkong's expression suddenly turned odd upon hearing the mention of Wu Sidua. They should be fine, I suppose. Tang Wulin could not help feeling odd when he heard the words, "should be fine." The actual experience he had during the special training on the Demon Island had almost made him doubt his entire life. He thought about how his state of mind was still quite steady. He was worried that Wu Sidua and the rest. The seniors learned about the situation in Shrek Academy and expressed their wish to take in even more students for special training there. I'll be bringing over a batch of students in another 2 days. Tang Wulin asked in surprise, are the seniors doing fine? Wu Zhongkong's eyes dimmed. Had they been capable of leaving the Demon Island so easily, they would have returned here with me. The Academy's situation fills them with pain. It's apparently not a good thing for them. They sacrificed themselves, living lonely lives on the Demon Island, for the Academy. What happened to them is actually quite pitiful. They were filled with a deep hatred and resentment upon learning about the Academy's destruction. Then, at this point, Wu Zhongkong raised his head and glanced at Tang Wulin. Then what? Asked Tang Wulin curiously. Then what? Asked Tang Wulin curiously. Wu Zhongkong spoke, I can only tell you that you were lucky compared to Wu Sidua and the rest. The seniors expressed that the Academy ended up like this because we didn't do enough and we weren't powerful enough. Thus, they'll be even stricter with them during the special training. Even stricter? Tang Wulin shivered. This made him feel especially grateful to the Atlas d'Or. He was fortunate that the Atlas d'Or had already sent them to the Demon Island to receive military training. Otherwise, would it not be more terrifying now? Teacher Wu, I'm going to meet Elder Long now. Go ahead. Do be careful when you're heading to Star Luo and Do Spirit. Wu Zhongkong's cold eyes had a faint hint of affection. He was not only showing warm solitude to Tang Wulin as his disciple, but there was also the care of an elder brother. He watched as Tang Wulin grew step by step. The young man's ability had already caught up to his own, so Wu Zhongkong was feeling very gratified in his heart. In reality, he had not exerted his full strength when he had sparred with Tang Wulin. He intended his loss to boost Tang Wulin's confidence. In turn, Tang Wulin did not disappoint, as his cultivation base had elevated rapidly after that. At this point, Wu Zhongkong was no longer certain that he could defeat Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin went deeper underground and used his special access card to enter the place where Elder Long was engaging in closed-door cultivation. He had just arrived when he heard a low and deep dragon's roar. Tang Wulin immediately felt like the Golden Dragon King bloodline in his body was eager to take action. Elder Long's cultivation base was genuinely unfathomably deep. Wulin, is that you? Come in. Tang Wulin heard Long Yue's voice. Yes? Long Yue sat cross-legged on the rush cushion. When Tang Wulin arrived before he was astonished to see that Elder Long was only at the age of double digits. Her long black hair draped over her shoulders while the waves of dragon's roars complemented her exceedingly beautiful face. It made him feel marvelous. Strange, isn't it? Long Yue looked at Tang Wulin with a smile on her face. She heaved a sigh softly. In reality, I've already arrived at the stage where I can't maintain my youth anymore because that would consume even more of my life force. Thus, you only see the Long Yue with wrinkled skin and white hair. It is only when I'm cultivating that my physical functions can be restored to my younger days because my soul power is triggered. Her voice carried faint sorrow but was also filled with reminiscence and longing for youth. Elder Long, you're still young. There's something at the Tang sect's ice-fire polarized eyes that can be consumed to elevate life force. Why don't we? Tang Wulin began to suggest. Long Yue shook her head. I visited the ice-fire polarized eyes once when I was young. One must be content with one's lot. Moreover, this is the arrangement between the Academy and the Tang sect. Even for those selected by the Academy, they're only allowed to visit the ice-fire polarized eyes once in their lifetimes. No one is exempted, including me. This is the rule and rules must be abided by. Otherwise, the treasured land of the ice-fire polarized eyes will pass out of existence because it had to support people from our Shrek Academy. Tang Wulin felt ashamed of himself. Speaking of which, he had taken almost all of the essence in the ice-fire polarized eyes. The numerous beasts were all by his side. One of the reasons that he had never panicked when he was fighting the darkness bell was that he still had the protection of those beasts in his body. He would unleash them if he really had no other choice. Every one of them was bestowed with a title Dolor's abilities, so the combination of all of them was at least enough to protect himself even if it was not enough to defeat Darkness Bell. The problem would have been that their identities would be exposed in that case. Tang Wulin was afraid that he would immediately become the Holy Spirit cult's main target. Fortunately, Qiangu Zhangting was there. Is there a reason you returned to see me? Have you encountered any difficulties? You're not a person who shrinks in the face of difficulty. Thus, I'm curious as to why you have come back. Long Yue looked at Tang Wulin calmly as she awaited his explanation. Tang Wulin smiled bitterly. The amorous Dolor had really left him with a huge burden. Elder Long, it's this. We've encountered a little bit of trouble in Sky Sea City, thus, he elaborated on the Rank 9 fixed soul ammunitions explosion case on Sky Sea City's joint fleet in simple terms. Long Yue had been engaging in closed-door cultivation all along to reduce the consumption of her life force so she could extend her longevity. She was largely unaware of the events in the outside world. On the other hand, people from the Tang sect and Shrek Academy that stayed behind here were unaware that Tang Wulin and his group of comrades had left for Sky Sea City, so naturally, no one came forward to tell Long Yue about these events. Tang Wulin intentionally observed Elder Long's expression for a moment when he mentioned the boundless universe Chen Xinjie. As expected, there was a wisp of a change to Elder Long's young visage. Even though it was very minute, but Tang Wulin still managed to capture it. As expected, the amorous Dolor had not done this at random. Chen Xinjie. Humph. That stubborn old man. The dragon's roars in the room suddenly grew louder. Unseen dominance rippled with golden light over the surface of Tang Wulin's body. It was the pride expressed by Tang Wulin's golden dragon king bloodline aura on its own accord from sensing another dragon might. Long Yue took a glance at Tang Wulin. That blabbermouth Zongxin must have said something, right? Tang Wulin was stunned for a moment, but he still nodded with a bitter smile. There was nothing much he could do to cover up for the amorous Dolor at this moment. Long Yue gave out a cold grunt. We truly should be tearing that tongue of his into shreds. You've returned to see me for this matter apparently because you know that I'm acquainted with that stubborn, old Chen Xinjie. Other than Zongxin, none of the others that accompanied you is aware of the event that took place back then anymore. Is Zongxin too cowardly to come over? I'll never forgive him for raking up this stale matter of mine. Let's go to Sky Sea City. Come. As she spoke, the light dark Doluo Long Yue stood up and walked toward the exit. Tang Wulin had not expected that Elder Long would consent to this in such a forthright manner, so he was immediately feeling quite astonished. His gaze naturally followed Long Yue's steps as she walked outward. As he followed, he saw the light dark Doluo's head full of black hair gradually turn grey, then pure white like snow the further she walked. Her back hunched and her aura felt worn. Tang Wulin could not help feeling a lump in his throat as he watched the scene. Elder Long was still bustling about for Shrek at her age because his generation was still not powerful enough. Without realizing, he clenched his fists tightly as his heart was burning with a raging will to fight. He would certainly prop up Shrek and the Tang sect as soon as possible, so the seniors from the older generation would need not go through hardship anymore. As Tang Wulin boarded the Soul train once again, his heart had already completely lost the gloominess he felt when he was coming over. With Elder Long's presence, there was nothing he had to fear even if the most awesome powerhouse showed up. Both he and Elder Long put on simple makeup. Long Yue helped to examine his body and found traces of the darkness bell sound wave imprint on his body as expected. Long Yue taught him a trick to his spiritual power so he could remove the imprint by himself. He could also use this technique to remedy such matters if he were to encounter them again in the future. Long Yue spent the entire journey resting her spirit with closed eyes. Her aura appeared to be extremely calm, yet Tang Wulin could clearly sense that her aura was too steady. In order to meet the boundless sea Doluo, he was afraid that Elder Long was also feeling. Tang Wulin had not recounted the love story between these two limit Doluos that the amorous Doluo had narrated to him. It was still better for him not to talk too much at this moment. On the other hand, he believed that Elder Long certainly had her own feelings about this situation as well. Since Elder Long chose to head toward Sky Sea City with him, it showed that she was certainly feeling quite confident. It was also the situation that Tang Wulin wished to see happen too. At this point, he was expecting only a good result. There was no doubt that Elder Long did not wish to see Chen Xinjie, but she was doing so because of the current situation on the continent. She did what she had to because she did not wish to see the war break out, and for the future of Shrek, she compromised out of consideration for the greater good and headed to the East Sea Fleet personally. Long Yue opened her eyes just as the train entered the station. She heaved a soft sigh. Wulin, you have someone you love, don't you? Tang Wulin nodded subconsciously. If you truly love someone, then you must hold on to her tightly for sure. Life may be long but, more often than not, there's only one true love in one's lifetime. One can be happy if one seizes the opportunity. However, if one fails to do so, then I'm afraid one will lose it for eternity. Long Yue stood up and walked outside upon saying this. Tang Wulin digested the meaning behind her words. Even though it sounded simple, he wondered about the sadness and grief in the events past. It seemed like the love between the Elder Long and the boundless sea Doluo was truly inexplicable and sentimental. Where is he? Asked Long Yue to Tang Wulin upon exiting the train station. He should be in the 3 Army Corps Joint Command. The boundless Doluo is the supreme commander of this operation, said Tang Wulin. Do you have a map? Asked Long Yue. Yes, I do. It had been so long since Tang Wulin came to the Sky Sea City. Naturally, he came well prepared for these rudimentary tasks. Point it out to me, said Long Yue indifferently. Tang Wulin retrieved the map and pointed out the location of the 3 Army Corps Joint Command to Long Yue. All right, you may return now. Please inform Zongshin that I'll deal with him regarding this matter sooner or later. Carry out the instructions according to the initial plan. There's no need to worry about anything else. I'll return to the Heaven Do City when this issue has been resolved. Come see me then. Upon saying that, Long Yue took a step forward silently. Her silhouette faded, and she vanished without a trace. No one else in the surroundings noticed her disappearance. It was as if Long Yue never existed, but no one noticed her presence at all. Evidently, Tang Wulin was far from being able to understand Elder Long's level at present. However, he had a feeling that Elder Long's cultivation was certainly above amorous Doluo's. No wonder Shrek Academy flourished back in the beginning with these two great limit Doluos, Elder Long and Atlas Doluo at the helm. They would most likely be of demigod rank. In addition to the Tang sect's two great limit Duluos, the amorous and the heartless, even the spirit pagoda dared not defy Shrek City in the presence of these four great powerhouses. Tang Wulin returned to join his comrades. Meanwhile, an illusory silhouette materialized in 10 minutes. The silhouette slowly revealed itself on the beach outside the East Sea Army Corps station. The senile Long Yue stood quietly on a small hill slope with a dragon-headed cane in her hand. She looked into the distance where the East Sea Army Corps was located. Countless light shadows appeared in her gaze. These light shadows gradually emerged around her body. One could barely make out the light shadows. However, there appeared to be human figures shimmering vaguely and soft voices were heard occasionally. It was thought concretization. In the presence of a limit dolor, the scene that appeared around Long Yue would certainly be recognized as the symbol of a true demigod. According to legend, a true god was capable of returning to a point in time and space which he or she wished to be. Nonetheless, it remained a legend. The top-ranked powerhouses and demigods of that generation were truly capable of displaying their thoughts in solid form. It was a type of spiritual fluctuation but not a domain-type ability. Long Yue remained standing stoically. 10 minutes later, a large-sized rover drove directly toward the mountain slope from the East Sea Army Corps. Her location was very near to the East Sea Army Corps. She had not moved at all. The radar had detected Long Yue's presence, so the patrol troop was sent over. The humming of the rover's soul core seemed to have jolted Long Yue's thoughts. All the light shadows in the surroundings vanished in the next instant. Long Yue's senile gaze fell upon the rover soon after. The vehicle drove all the way until it reached the bottom of the mountain slope. 8 agile soldiers carrying loaded guns jumped down from the vehicle. They headed up the mountain slope rapidly, led by a first lieutenant. They dashed all the way until they could clearly see Long Yue's face. The first lieutenant spoke with a deep voice, "Old lady, this is a military-controlled area. You must leave now." If another person had been in her place, the radar would not have paid much attention to the person. In Long Yue's case, she too appeared to be ordinary as the radar did not pick up any soul power fluctuation. However, the light shadows that appeared around her earlier were captured by the radar. The officers from the control station were confused. Hence, a patrol troop was dispatched to survey the situation. The fixed soul ammunition attack and sinking of a battleship happened recently, so the 3 Army Corps Joint Fleet was in an apprehensive condition at present. They were worried about any unexpected incident which might occur. Long Yue took a glance at the first lieutenant and spoke indifferently, "Chen Xinjie, come." Her voice sounded flat, but it distinctly carried a sense of overbearingness. The voice sounded calm and soothing to the soldiers before her. However, Chen Xinjie's name was unfamiliar to them. How could they possibly know the true name of their supreme commander? Just as they felt uncertain in their hearts and wondered the significance of the name called out by this senile old woman, a shocking scene which they would never forget in their lifetime occurred. "Chen Xinjie, come out! Chen Xinjie, come out!" The voice echoed repeatedly as it covered the entire East Sea Army Corps station and the beachfront of the entire 3 Army Corps Joint Fleet. It was akin to a surging thunder. Within the range of 100 kilometers, the deep and overbearing voice could be heard. The echoes surged for a long time. The sea waves turned calm at this very moment as the voice smothered the sea surface, making it as smooth as a mirror. It was as if the sea turned into a calm lake. The first lieutenant and his soldiers were all stunned. They stared at the old woman in bewilderment as they found themselves not even having the courage to raise the soul beam rifles in their hands. This person. What kind of a person was she? Long Yue would never enter the 3 Army Corps command to search for Chen Xinjie, for it was not her style. It was her pride in not wanting to show up in front of him despite having taken the initiative to come personally. Her voice surged in waves. Over 1 million people in the entire 3 Army Corps command, the entire Joint Fleet, and all the generals in addition to the support crew heard her voice distinctly. Chen Xinjie's name turned many people pale with fear. How could someone call out the Supreme Commander's name in such a manner? The generals who knew Chen Xinjie's name understood the significance of the name. He was the War God Hall's Hall Master, the great sect master who reigned over the War God Hall close to 100 years, and the Sea God Army's regimental commander, the boundless Sea Lord Chen Xinjie. He was the deserving great leader of the army. Undoubtedly, he was also known as the #1 person in the army. Yet, someone dared to call out his true name. It was definitely a shocking scene. Who was this person calling out Chen Xinjie's name? Who was so bold as to address him in such a manner? The first lieutenant swallowed a gulp of saliva. He suddenly felt so depressed that he wished to commit suicide by jumping into the sea. Despite feeling foolish, he figured that the person before him was surely an exceptional and impressive person. Why did he act so foolishly when he fought to carry out this mission earlier? He was in a difficult position, for he could neither advance nor retreat. He stood there in a daze. He could only watch the old woman before him, as he could not even utter a word. The sound wave gradually faded. Everything regained its prior calmness. Elder Long remained standing there as before. She gazed into the East Sea Army located in the distance calmly. It was as if the voice which was heard earlier did not come from her. Suddenly, a stream of bright light appeared in the sky. The tide surged violently in the sea. The sea waves were choppy, as if it had regained vitality once again. A light shadow arrived in the blink of an eye. He appeared right before Long Yuyue. On each of his shoulders were 3 general stars shimmering with a dazzling radiance. The first lieutenant's eyes were almost blinded by the glimmer. Chen Xinjie had heard the voice during the first wave of echoes. He heard the familiar voice, but it seemed completely unbelievable to him. He could not imagine why he suddenly heard the voice at this moment. The echoes had sounded so real. When the siren was heard soon after, he came to his senses. He dispatched an order to the entire army to keep silent at once. In the next instant, he appeared at the source of the voice. She had changed. She was wearing makeup on her face, for she did not look the same. Although her back was bent as she stood there, she somehow appeared to be her. She was the proud light dark dragon empress. She had always been a leader, never a follower. She was as proud as ever. No matter how many years had passed, she remained the proud princess in his heart. Chen Xinjie's vision blurred instantly. He simply could not imagine that he would tear up at this moment when he was already over 100 years old. "Everyone, leave!" He suddenly turned around and shouted in rage at the first lieutenant standing behind him. Then, he waved his huge hand once and conjured a gush of the most frightening tidal-like energy. The energy rolled up all the soldiers and the rover before pushing them toward the barracks. Everything in the surroundings warped and blurred. No detection equipment could possibly detect the location where a limit Doluo wishes to hide. He turned around once again. Their eyes met one another. Her eyes were slightly murky, but her gaze remained firm. How could there be no emotional response in her eyes? How long had it been since they last met each other? It had been 36 years, 4 months and 8 days. She remembered, and he did, too. These two people, at the peak of the world, stood gazing into each other's eyes. No one took the initiative to speak first. It was sufficient to just gaze into the eyes of the other as such. Light shadows from the thought concretization arose around Long Yuyue without her noticing. Nonetheless, she immediately waved her hand to scatter the light shadows. Chen Xinjie's chest shook violently once. There was nothing more shocking than the appearance of the light shadows. Although she had not spoken at all, the moment they appeared, the light shadows represented more than 1,000 words for him. No one else could tell the significance of those light shadows. How could he not know the meaning of those shadows, having experienced it himself and was similarly equipped with the thought concretization ability? It was their story. Chen Xinjie's heart turned soft at this very moment. All the firmness, arrogance, obstinacy, and grit seemed to have vanished. He took a big step forward and was next to Long Yuyue. It took Long Yuyue a little by surprise, who had not expected him to do so. The light dark dragon empress fell back by half a step as if she was petrified. In the next moment, a pair of strong arms wrapped around her body. Tears streamed down from Chen Xinjie's eyes uncontrollably. His voice trembled and sobbed as he roared deeply and incoherently. Alive? You're alive. You're still alive. When Long Yiyue was hugged by him, she wished to blast him away. However, her heart was filled with shame and embarrassment immediately. She felt the softest part of her heart being slammed violently as she heard his sobbing voice and felt his trembling strong hands. Her rank 99 limit Doluo cultivation base seemed to have vanished instantly. Her palm, which had already pushed out, grabbed his general's military uniform subconsciously. You're still alive. This is great, this is truly amazing. Chen Xinjie's tears could not stop flowing. At the moment, he lost the overbearingness of the War God Hall's Hall Master. He lost all reservation as he cried like a child. Almost 100 years of affection which had accumulated in his heart burst forth akin to an oil blowout. The boundless Sido Luo did not hold back anymore, for there was utterly no way he could control the release of his emotions. His only thoughts and feelings were of this senile-looking woman which he could never forget in his lifetime. Let go of me, shouted Long Yiyue, slightly embarrassed. No, I won't. Chen Xinjie wrapped his arms around her even tighter. She knew very well that she could blast him away if she exerted her strength, and he knew too. Yet, they continued hugging each other. Long Yiyue transformed in his arms in the next moment. Her bent back straightened rapidly. Her snowy white hair gradually turned black while her aged appearance vanished. The wrinkles on her skin were gone and her complexion became fair and smooth. 100 years of aging vanished in a moment as she regained her youth. At present, the boundless Sido Luo felt his heart melt completely as he sensed the old woman in his arms regain her youth and smelled her maiden scent lingering in his nose. His appearance was undergoing a silent transformation too, as he returned to his youth. The young Chen Xinjie had a pair of brows which pointed upward. His facial features were distinguished. He exuded an indomitable and unyielding feeling as if he was straddling heaven and earth. All of a sudden, she came to a realization. The youthful Long Yiyue pushed him away abruptly and swung her right hand at lightning speed. Smack! The slap was extremely strong, such that Chen Xinjie stumbled from the impact. A palm mark with slender fingers instantly appeared on his cheek. Fire was spurting out from Long Yiyue's eyes. Who gave you permission to touch me? Chen Xinjie looked at her in a daze. It was precisely because he was pushed away that he could see her even more clearly. You look gorgeous. At present, he appeared a little foolish with hardly an ounce of the boundless Sido Luo's overbearingness. Long Yiyue was stunned by his compliment. She was at a loss for words. Chen Xinjie was looking at her in a daze too. Both of them gazed into the eyes of each other as faint light shadows flashed around their bodies one at a time. The strange scene of the thought concretization appeared occasionally to shatter rapidly once again. At present, the boundless Sido Luo had awakened to reality. His facial expression was constantly changing with episodes of pain, excitement, and uncertainty at times. Yet, each time his eyes were fixed upon Long Yiyue, his gaze would soften with gentleness. Yiyue, do you know this? When I found out that Shrek Academy was destroyed by the Godkiller rank fixed soul ammunition, I felt that everything was over. It's only when one loses something that one realizes its importance. We've known each other for over 100 years. For over 100 years, we each have our own opinions. We can't get along with one another. My goal is to have everything within my grasp. You acted the same when you were young. We were rash and unrestrained. We did everything we liked. Yet, being from Shrek Academy, its traditions changed you in the end. Your brashness gradually disappeared and you turned gentle like the rest of Shrek Academy's students. I've always thought that destiny should be in our hands, while you thought that protection was more important than creation. Our ideologies conflicted one another. I'd already decided to be the War God Hall's successor at the time. I always thought that a man should be indomitable. Although I loved you very much at the time, I had my career to consider similarly. I'd planned on taking you to the War God Hall so you could be by my side. I was so conceited at the time that it was always from my point of view. I didn't ever consider your views. You were similarly firm in temperament that we had a fallout later on. Even though both of us tried to work things out, we would end up parting on bad terms each time. However, I know that you miss me. Otherwise, you won't have remained single. On the other hand, how can I not feel the same in my heart too? No one else can replace you. I'm the boundless Dolor Chen Xinjie, the current War God Hall's Hall Master. If there's a woman I wish to truly marry, there can only be one person, and her name is Long Yiyue. At this point, Chen Xinjie was obviously flustered. We were both obstinate indeed. We upheld our respective positions in public as there was no way we would disgrace ourselves. There was no initiative to compromise with one another. I thought that it would be impossible for me to reach a compromise with you in my lifetime. It wasn't until that fateful day when I learned of the bad news. When I found out that Shrek Academy was gone and Shrek City was completely destroyed, you'd vanished too. I suddenly realized what a fool I was. All my persistence became meaningless when I heard of your sudden disappearance. It was only then that I learned that my persistence was nothing but a joke. If I wasn't so hard-headed and had realized earlier, perhaps we would both be living a happy life together. It was a pity that I learned about it too late. I thought that you had passed on. I locked myself in a room for a long, long time. I thought about many things. Perhaps you won't believe me, but I had just entered the full concretization realm at the time. It was precisely because of my yearning for you that I managed to complete the critical step. I truly didn't expect you to be alive still. Nothing else can make me happier than seeing you alive and well. Yiyue, I don't know why you're looking for me, but there's no need to tell me the reason. I only hope that you realize one thing. From now on, from the very moment I saw you again, all these, the War God Hall's Hall Master, the Sea God Army's Regimental Commander, the 3 Army Corps Supreme Commander, the Boundless Sea Dolor, are no longer important. I've only one identity now, and that's to be Long Yiyue's man. I'll be the man who's willing to do anything for you. For you, I'm even willing to love the entire world. I'll do anything you ask of me, even to take my life if you so wish. I've lived all my life for someone else, and it's been so long that I've lived with my obsession. I don't know how many more years I can live, but I can be sure that every second of my life in the future belongs to you alone and no one else. I'll never go west if you ask me to head east. Long Yiyue's eyes were all icy cold in the beginning as she listened to Chen Xinjie's narration. When she first saw him, her emotions were impervious to desires and passions, but now, they began to waver and transform. However, her indomitable heart still upheld her dignity. Anyhow, Long Yiyue's expression gradually changed as she listened intently to every word spoken by Chen Xinjie in his emotionally charged state. In her heart, she had least expected such feelings to be spewed from the mouth of an incomparably stubborn and unyielding man. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.